Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana. And we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And absolutely can't wait to have today's discussion. Our guest is Emily Hays.
Woo!
Emily, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This will be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't wait to visit with you. So I'm going to use your help because I'm going to mess this up again. So my first question for you is, born and raised in Shreveport, you ended up in
Kazakhstan
in your early 20s. So
Yeah.
my first question for you today is, how did you end up there?
Ooh. By way of the realization that law school was not going to be for me. I have a useless undergraduate degree in philosophy, which taught me how to think and let me read books and let me do all the things that I love to do. But as my mom confronted me in my late college career, she said, "You don't have any marketable skills." And I thought, shoot. But I knew I loved to travel. I knew I loved people. I knew I loved making a difference. And I thought, how do you get to do that? Well, you find a way to work with a nonprofit somewhere. And so that's what I did. I applied with a nonprofit, and after several failed attempts at different cities and countries, after coups and revolutions and whatever, dropped myself off in almighty Kazakhstan.
And what was the nonprofit, and what were you doing over there?
Yeah, so I did a lot of things. I did some microfinance. I don't know if you're familiar. It's like you take $5 and you buy a person a chicken, and you teach them how to raise the chicken for eggs, and then they sell the eggs. And so the economy is so different from what we have in America. $5 makes a difference for them. It's a drop in our bucket, but for them, it's a big deal. Most of the women that lived there were products of some sort of war, and that had been widowed, or their kids had been orphaned because of that. And so they didn't have, in a male-dominated society, they don't have a way to make income.
What year are we in?
This is in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Yep. So the Soviet Union has fallen, but it's still very, very Soviet. So I did that, and then when I moved to the capital that is fascinating to me. The president of Kazakhstan said, "I don't like the capital here anymore. I'm going to take a city that doesn't exist, and I'm going to make one." And so they built a Dubai-like infrastructure out of nothing in the middle of the Siberian, basically, wasteland. So when we got there, I taught English at the President's University.
And how long were you over there?
I was over there all in 3 years.
Wow.
It was the most transformative experience of my life, probably.
Did you, just kind of a silly question, but did you, during that 3 years, ever come back to the U.S., or you were there for 3 years straight? I
came back for a wedding, and that was it. The rest of the time I was there, I mean, I got to travel, and, I went to other countries and whatever, but I was mostly there, did not come back to the States very often. Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, you should do it. My kids are getting to the age where they're talking about gap years in college, and you should do it. You should always go.
Have you been back there since
No, I actually met my husband there. He's American, but we met there, and we've talked about going for our 20th anniversary. So it'd be so different. I mean, going as a single person I didn't speak a word of Russian. I didn't know how to boil water. I mean, I knew nothing. I didn't know how to cook. And you learn everything out of necessity. And with the perspective that your life is so much farther, not better, but you just have so many advantages that these people that we're working with have none of, so it's just the framework for pretty much everything I do, that experience,
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Kazakhstan.
I'm not even going. I'll do it off camera.
Okay.
All right. For full disclosure, I botched it. And so I wasn't going to try again. So anyway, we re-recorded it, and I'm just being transparent with everyone. So
that's fair.
Fast forward a few years, and you're now the owner of Osborn Hays Real Estate. So my question is, tell me about this, kind of just hang in there with me. Tell me about Osborn Hays, how it started, and some about who you are as a company.
Yeah, cool. So I am the co-owner with Andy Osborn. He's my business partner. He and his wife have become just incredible friends, but we worked together at a bigger box brokerage for a couple of years. And just as we had conversations, we realized that maybe there was a different way where we love the Shreveport community. We genuinely love the people that we get to work with. And it wasn't about hitting a production mark, hitting a benchmark of production or transactions, even though we were super successful. It was really about like, could we make our agents care about the people that they serve? And so we just had these conversations, and it kind of sprung out of like, what if became, 100% we can do this. So we opened Osborn Hays a few years ago. We thought we put a lot of intentionality in what it would be like, but we didn't think through, would people come with us and join? But what we found were that people were looking for the same thing that we were providing. And so this company kind of grew out of really what we didn't expect it to grow out of. And so now we've got 20 agents. We talk all the time about giving a high level of customer service to our clients, but also being a champion and a cheerleader for our agents, whatever that means. So some people want to sell 10 million a year. Great. Some people want to sell 3 because they also want to coach their kids' soccer team and volunteer at church and do those things. Like 100%, absolutely. That's amazing. And so I'm just really proud of the culture that we have. And really, I think of it as like the little company that could. We killed it last year, and we if you would have asked me in June, I would have said it's a bad year. You know, if you would ask me in October, I would have said it's a bad year. But when I was doing the numbers, I was like, man, it wasn't a bad year. It was so good. And then thinking through the people that we got to help and just the stories that come out of that, I'm just really proud of what we've been able to do. So that's who we are. We sell everything. We sell residential, we sell commercial, we sell land. We have property management. We're really a full service because that was important to us. If you care for your client, you've got to do everything that they need. And
you have a brick and mortar location?
We have a brick and mortar location off of Line Avenue in the Spring Lake Office Park. But we sell all over Northwest Louisiana.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Of course,
thank you.
Of course, yeah. Huge achievement.
Yeah, we're proud of it. We're proud of it.
You should be.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna switch gears a little as we get to another important facet of your current life. So, in addition to co-owning and co-running Osborn Hays, along with your husband and father, you own Northport Sports.
Yeah.
So my question here is, where did the idea come from to purchase the 25-acre site, which had been abandoned for more than 10 years? What is Northport Sports today, and what will it be ultimately?
Okay. Part one of that question, why did we do that? We're people of faith, and we walk in ways that God says walk until he says stop. And that's why we did it. We had a daughter that plays competitive volleyball kind of accidentally. She wanted to do it, and we were like, sure, you won't make the team. Well, of course she made the team, and we were like, shoot, what have we gotten ourselves into? We've gotten into this world that we don't know. What we have come to find out is that volleyball is the fastest growing sport on the girls' side of anything in the country because it's accessible to everybody. It's cheap to run. You don't need much. You need a ball and a net, and everybody can play volleyball. But when we started going to Dallas for tournaments, we were like, man, this is a business. They would have these abandoned warehouses that they'd turn into volleyball gyms, and they charged you $40. You had to bring your chair. You couldn't bring food. And we're like, man, this is like, one, it's kind of a ripoff, but two, like what a bit, and people are flocking in. We're like, there's a model here. The director of TC Elite,
and we have nothing like it in Shreveport.
And we have nothing like it.
Okay.
And the director of TC Elite, which is the biggest club in town, they were farming out their gyms. So they were at like 10 or 12 sites all over Shreveport. It's not a way to grow a club of volleyball players. So it was just kind of like, I have a background in sports, played, coached, had opened another gym previously. So this was not foreign to me. But what we realized really quickly was we couldn't afford the concrete, the land, and the building. We could afford 2 of the 3, but we really couldn't. We didn't go out and fundraise. We didn't crowdsource. This is what we have. What can we do? And so when we realized that, we were meeting with our builder, and he said, come get in the car. I'm like, great. He's going to show us something we can't afford. And he drove us to this 25-acre former K through 12 school that
what
is
was it? What
Trinity Heights Academy.
And then
it was University Christian Prep. Yep.
Off of North Market?
Off of Old Mooring Sport Road. But yeah, it's about 10 minutes north of downtown. And it was a beloved school. I mean, if you go into any restaurant and said, did anybody go to Trinity Heights? Someone would be like, yeah, or my aunt taught there, or my mom, whatever. Didn't have that. My dad was part of the first graduating class of Northwood High School. So he grew up in North Shreveport, but we moved to town early. And so didn't have any really affiliation with the school, except we went to the church that had the same name. So he took us to this wasteland. I mean, it was a dump. It had been abandoned. He had bought it and was just trying to clean it up so that maybe a school would come back in and buy it. And, we hadn't been there 5 minutes, and my husband was like, and I was like, yeah, this is the one. This is it. We could just see it. We could see that what used to be dead could now be alive, and there was life to breathe into it. Let's give it a try. So that's what we did. We purchased the property.
Let me pause 1 sec. Yeah. I may have missed this. So your builder at that point had bought it. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was his name?
So Roger Johnson was the builder.
Johnson.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he had bought the property about a year before.
Okay.
And just in hopes of, like, if he got out the vagrant community that was living there, if he cleaned it up a little bit, maybe someone would see it appealing to a buyer. And so it wasn't very appealing, but we bought it. My daughter got out of the car after we bought it, and she goes, it's like Chernobyl. It was the craziest thing. They just left one day. Books were still open in the chemistry lab to the same page. It was like the whistle blew or the bell rang and they all left, and it was still preserved. Yeah. Copy machines and pianos. I mean, it was books. We have a library full of books that have just been sitting there for, 15 years. But yeah, that's what we did. We bought it. The volleyball club absolutely was like, come on, we want to be a part of this. And so they moved out there. That was phase one. We remodeled and renovated the gyms. And now we're really proud. The Mudbugs were out there, or the youth hockey league played deck hockey there this summer. We have futsal in the gyms. We have pickleball, and then we have volleyball.
So what do we have in terms of facilities or amenities at this point?
Yeah. So we have 2 gyms with 6 volleyball courts, which makes us the largest facility in town.
And this is now the home of TC Elite?
This is the home of TC Elite. It's the home of the middle school volleyball league. It's the home of pretty much all large-scale developmental volleyball in town. We have a futsal court. The courts double, and we have 6 pickleball courts.
Okay. Yep. And then you have don't you have outdoor facilities in a minute? Because I know Orlando, who's been on this podcast, is affiliated with you. So tell us what's going on outside.
Sure. So phase 2 is to get the fields ready. Orlando is a great friend and a partner. He is moving his soccer club out to our facility, and they will have 3 full-size fields at their disposal as well. So we're renovating the outside. There's a football stadium. We're renovating the football stadium and then turning the baseball field into soccer fields for phase 2. And hopefully they'll be out there this spring. The field work was supposed to be done today. So it's exciting. I mean,
much needed
in the community. Something that's important to us is that it's affordable for people. Pay to play sports is a kind of a pet peeve of mine. It's gotten so expensive and really elite. And if you don't have the resources to do it, you can't participate. And so we have tried to partner with people who have that same vision, who want kids from every demographic to be able to play. And that's who we've got out there. We've got kids that, show up in the coach's car because they don't have a ride. And then we've got every demographic out there, and it's just a really cool environment. But yeah, that's who's out there now. We've got 25 buildings that we have no idea what to do with. We're hoping someone comes along with a great idea and says, like, this is what I want. In my mind, there's maybe nonprofit space for offices, or I don't know. We don't know what's the third, that section for. So.
And for people listening, like, what's the best way for them to obtain information or to get there? Is there a Northport Sports Facebook page, or is there Northport Sports website
Good
or
question.
just call Emily at Hays Osborn or
yes, yes. No, you can find us on Facebook. Northport Sports is on Facebook. Our email address is linked there. Or you can call the Osborn Hays office, and they get that call a lot. So yeah, any way that you want to reach out, we're open to. We want to work with people that want to be there, and we figure out the use after we meet the people.
And do you know a physical address off the top of your head if people are listening and saying, I want to go check this place out? Is there?
Oh, this is so embarrassing. But it's either 3,800 or 4,800. I'm not good at numbers, and my dad is going to kill me. But Old Morningsport Road, it's the old Trinity Heights Academy. Either 3,800 or 4,800. You can't say Kazakhstan. Enough. I can't remember the name.
I can't say it, and I'm still not going to say it. All right. So
did that answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah, totally. All right. So like many of us, you grew up here, went away, never expecting to return.
For real.
Returned, never expecting to stay.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And now you were committed.
Don't expect to leave.
Now you were committed to making your hometown better.
Yeah.
So your husband, Phil, and you are raising a family with 4 children.
Yep.
My question is, as you look around at our community, what are some of the things currently that concern you the most?
That concern me? Okay. The negative information that tax-paying citizens of Shreveport-Bossier or Shreveport spread about the city. Are there problems? 100%. Is crime terrible? Is education not what we want it to be? Yes. Is the infrastructure bad? Do we need better water? All of those things are true. But my day job is that people from all over the country get sent here to work, and they Google Shreveport, and they get on the Facebook page, and it says Shreveport, and everything they find is horrible. And so before I can even get them to go, well, maybe I would like to live in this neighborhood, I have to get them to understand that Shreveport is not only what they're reading on social media and on the internet. I don't have rose-colored glasses. There are more problems than I could tackle in every direction. But there are so many really good people committed to incredible things here that you can't even find those because it's buried under somebody walked down my street yesterday and I didn't know them, so they must be robbing me. Or there was a robbery because you left your car unlocked, So there's this perception, oh, are you from Shreveport? Do you get shot a lot? No, I've lived here my whole life and I've never been shot. Have you been shot at?
Nope.
But that's kind of, I coach soccer in Bossier. My kids go to school in Bossier, and that's what people say, like, oh, you've never been shot at? And it's in jest, but there's some truth to it. That's really what people think. And so do I think that I can solve the education crisis in the lower income part of the city? No. Can I find jobs for people that don't have them? No. But I can tell my friends who have big voices to say good things about the city. So that's what I would say. I mean, it really does flip the whole script when someone's excited to come here, when someone's excited to invest in this community. I'm begging people to buy this incredible building downtown, but they're afraid to invest in Shreveport because, well, what if it doesn't exist in 10 years? Well, it's gonna, and it's gonna be better than it is now, but it's just such a perception that you have to overcome before you can even get to the starting line.
And why do you think because this is something we talk a lot about on this podcast, why do you think you see the positive so easily and so many are so wrapped up in the opposite?
It's a good question. I mean, your question 1 was about living in a foreign country. In that foreign country, maybe 3 families or 3 generations of families lived in the same one-room apartment. You didn't waste bread because they very much remembered a time in their life where they didn't have bread to eat, and so there's this perspective that comes with like, my life really isn't that bad. But there are people in our city whose life is really awful and they struggle, and the things that they walk through, I can't walk through the way that they walk through them. And so it's just perspective is the reason I can see it positively. If you're only thinking about yourself and you're only thinking about the things that impact you, you think it's negative. But if you're going, man, that person probably does struggle because they had a baby at 15 and don't have a car, and how did they get to the grocery store? Like, it flips the perspective. And then you're super grateful that you live in a place like Shreveport where you go to a restaurant and everybody, you know someone everywhere you go, or there's a connection. You and I were talking about all the connections we had. Like, what a cool thing about our city, instead of the crime beat, So
the lesson is you'll appreciate this. Perspective, zoom out, look up. So this is something, so you'll appreciate this particularly. So Emily at one point was the head soccer coach of Airline. She also was a goalkeeper. So when I first started working at the Y, I told our CEO, Gary Lash, I said, I played soccer all my life, and the first piece of instruction you hear all the time in soccer is look up. When you get a pass, the first thing you need to do is look up, look around. Yep. Where are the rest of the players? What's going on? What's the geometry of the field? And so maybe, a lesson is, to everyone, just, look up, look beyond yourself, look beyond what's going on with you, look at the bigger picture, zoom out.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I mean, for everybody, even if I can forget that we have it really good here sometimes when I'm like looking at Emily. But if you do look up, it tends to get a little better. That's good.
All right. So my last formal question for you is just kind of the flip of that last question. What are some of the things locally that make you feel like our community is improving or has improved since you first came back to live here?
I love that individuals who grew up in Shreveport-Bossier can establish businesses or restaurants or gyms for kids with special needs that just opened, and they're successful. There's so many people.
Where's the gym with special? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it's on Uri and.
I have a special needs niece. So
okay, it's like for kids with autism, and it's like with
I've
challenges.
Seen it. Yeah, Uri and Piermont.
Uri and Piermont.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I can't remember the name of it, but like, what a cool thing! Local people did that. Local people we have creative people. We've got this influx of movie business influenced people. We've got incredible history of music. And it's like they've all connected in the last 15 years. And now there's opportunities for festivals. There's opportunities for, like, we have a great farmers market. The Shreveport farmers, the downtown farmers market is amazing. The Providence farmers market is amazing. People like the Balderises who have Cabo. I mean, like, what incredible people. They could have gone anywhere, but we have them here. And so I think the people are what make this place amazing. And their ability and their freedom to be able to be creative in their vein and create things that they want to share with other people. I think that's what we have. So many of those. Grant Knuckles. I mean, everything he touches but he's open-handed about it, and he shares, and he wants to do more. He wants to create things for the community, and I think that's the best thing. That's probably not the answer you were looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, what makes or breaks a community? It's
the people. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we've got great ones.
Who's going to change a community? It's not going to miraculously happen. Mm-hmm. It's the people in it saying, I want my community to be better, and I'm going to do something about it. And here's
what I do. Not just I want my community to be better, but I'm willing to do something. And, that's been the coolest thing. We did not buy Northport for anybody to go, that's amazing. But that people in that community especially have been so thankful that we took something that was such an eyesore. I mean, people have told us they would reroute their way home to not have to drive back because it made them so sad. And now they're proud of it. They're proud of this little thing that people come to. That's what they remember, that it was a gathering place for kids, and it's becoming that again, and they love it. And so, it doesn't take this big effort. It can be as small as like reviving something that just needed a little help, And all those little victories add up. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of those in Shreveport. Yeah. Yeah. Were there other things? I told you, I was going to kind of glance at some of the things you do, but I'm happy to cover anything that you want to talk about or mention. No, I mean, I have a really have a really cool life here. I didn't see that coming. I didn't have any intention of moving back to Shreveport. We thought when we came back after living overseas, we would be here for a year and we'd be out. And we laughed the other day, like, I think we have roots here. I think we really have roots here, but we didn't see that. And now my kids are starting to say, I'm never going to come back to Shreveport. And we're like, okay, you can just kind of sit back and laugh because the chances are some of them probably will, and I think that's a cool thing. I hope that the city is in a better place when they come back than it is for me,
Well, I was going to ask, how do we get more Emily Hayes here? But like,
may not want
I
them.
I love knowing that we've got 4 more in the next generation. So
I hope they're better. I was talking to someone yesterday, and my youngest daughter is interested in real estate. she's little, but she always wants to look at Zillow Gone Wild on Instagram and see what crazy house has been listed. And so the person I was talking to was like, well, maybe she can come and like help you. And I was like, no, maybe she can come and run it. Like maybe she can take over, and like, how cool would that be? I want my kids to be better than I was in whatever that looks like, but what a gift if they're better and not just equal to. And they will be, because they're just cool people. But there's so many of them. I coach youth sports, and I get to see these 15, and I teach a Sunday school class at church, and I'm around all these really incredible high school kids, and I think they get a bad rap. Like all they do is stay on social media and they don't care they're incredible. We've got incredible kids here. You just have to listen. You have to ask them.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here, and thanks for everything you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's my joy, and it's not something that we do for thanks. It's just who we are. If you have good, you have to share it. And that's what we do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks.